we're going to knock this short show right out of the park because, as you all know, that's our goal. So celebrate with us. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. And it is a short show, and I'm always punny. I'll always be punny.
I just love the difference in size between Nikolai and his partner there.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great way to finish the intro, but the home run was exciting. I'm glad we got to be there.
Absolutely.
As he put it out of the park. Unfortunately, that was not enough.
Yeah, believe me, it's tough. It's been tough for the baseball squad.
Yep, and they had some weather move in. Everybody had some weather move in. More weather actually this evening, Monday evening, canceling or postponing a couple of lacrosse matches. But we're going to start with the baseball team. They are still struggling to find their rhythm this season, and it doesn't get any easier with the schedule they faced. Last week started with a trip to Castle Field in Anoka on Tuesday. The Tornadoes have had their ups and downs to start the season, and they came in looking to get back to 500. The Cardinals get the start they wanted after scoring one in the first. Colin Fanoff doubles their lead with a no-doubt home run leading off the second inning. This tape measure shot to left is the first of the year for Fanoff. They put the Cards up 2-0. But the Tornadoes bring the thunder in the bottom half of the inning. Luke Duchene's two-run triple to left was the biggest shot of a 6-run frame for the home team. Anoka up by 4 after 2 innings. We were far from finished. Cardinals down, but not out. They answer with a big inning of their own in the top of the third. Braden Grisey with a drive to right that runs all the way to the fence. Kjell Norquist is going to score all the way from first. The Cardinals storm back to tie the Tornadoes at 6. Unfortunately, that was the end of their scoring, and Anoka just kept going. They retook the lead in the third, added a couple more in the fifth, and then in the sixth, it was a parade around the bases. They scored 7 times on 6 hits and ended the game early with a walk-off base on balls. Cardinals lose 16-6, and they fail to reach the 7th inning for the 4th time in their first 5 games.
Yeah, again, tough start for the baseball squad, and it's something that, typically maybe your pitching is failing, but your hitting is doing okay. It's really kind of both at this point, although they were able to score 6 runs against Anoka, but never enough.
Well, and again, 6 hit batters from the Cardinals staff in those 6 innings. The second time in the 3 games that we have witnessed where the pitching staff has plunked 6 guys at the plate. You just can't give up that many free bases and expect to win baseball games. They were supposed to play on Thursday. That was postponed due to weather. Meant they played a doubleheader on Saturday, starting with a conference matchup against Armstrong. They lost that one 7-4, and then they fell to the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks 10-0. That game did get to the 7th inning, though, so baby steps to get this season back on track. A hugely busy week, and they desperately need some positives as they come out of this week. Very tough task on Tuesday. They are at Andover Station under the lights, and Howie?
We'll be there.
Then on Wednesday, an almost got to win, in my opinion, against Minneapolis Washburn. Please get that victory for me. They're at Champlin Park on Thursday, and they will be back home to host Rochester Mayo on Saturday. Softball team has seen similar struggles to start their season. It too started with last week, started with a trip to Anoka. They lost to the Tornadoes 14-1 in that one. Ava Kellis had the lone RBI, went 2 for 3 at the plate. Cassie Powell had a single and scored that lone run. Pacey Olson had a double and a walk, and Bauk went 1 for 2 with a double. But 1 run is rarely going to get the job done. No runs is never going to get it done, and that's all they put up against Cambridge Isani, losing to the Blue Jackets by a 16-0 score. That is their only 2 hits from Meyer and Olson, who were both 1 for 2 from the dish. On Saturday, They got their bats going a little bit better, but fell to the Greyhounds by a 7-5 score, and they are off to an 0-6 start. Is that right?
0-8. 0-8. Yeah, again, tough. I mean, you're giving up 14 runs, 16 runs in a game. That makes it very difficult, tough on your pitchers. And when you're not being able to hit the ball, for the most part, similar to the baseball team, it's tough to win games.
They've had a couple of games where they have been able to put up some decent offensive numbers, but you've got to have both on the same page. The beauty of high school sports, however, you can lose every game in the season and still be a state champion.
Absolutely could.
Because everybody gets to the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And as long as you win in the postseason, nothing else matters. They are at Andover on Tuesday, at North Branch on Wednesday, at Champlin Park on Thursday, and then they will be under the lights at Aspen Park against Fridley Heights on Friday night. And Howie?
We'll be there.
Tennis team started last week with a very highly ranked conference opponent from Rogers. They lost to the Royals by a 5-2 score. Their wins came from Cooper Held in first singles, 6-love, and Oliver Leet in fourth singles in a tight one, 7-5 and then 6-2. Hirsumaki played second singles in this one, lost 1-6, 2-6. Peyton Yang, I think it's Peyton, don't quote me on that. Third singles, 4-6, 3-6. Tumby and Hofstede lost at third doubles, 4-6, 1-6. Lot of tennis.
Lot of tennis.
Yep,
packed schedule.
Played.
Well, the Cardinals, they don't get any matches off, even though their non-conference schedule is packed with top-tier teams. On Wednesday, they welcomed the Princeton Tigers to the Pivot Courts. The Cardinals continue to improve every time they take the court. And even though they lost to the Tigers, they kept most set scores really close. While the team has had a rocky start, their top singles player certainly hasn't. Junior captain Cooper Held was 5-0 last week, including a 6-0, 6-1 win over Preston Mai. Kieran McCarthy in the second singles spot against the Tigers, and the junior shows great court coverage on this point, hustling to the net to win the point. McCarthy loses in straight sets, unfortunately, 4-6, 0-6. The best name on the team, Howie Lundberg, serving at third singles. The sophomore does the name proud, but comes up short, losing 3-6, 1-6. Freshman Oliver Leet has been a nice addition to the Cardinals lineup this season, and he has had his moments against Princeton at fourth singles. Unfortunately, he lost 3-6, 3-6. Nikolai Hirsumaki paired with Peyton Yang at first doubles. Great return for the point here, but they suffer another straight set loss, 1-6, 1-6. A couple of captains on the court at second doubles. Lachlan Demmer with the serve. Nick Ryland with the strong net play for the point. They get the Cardinals a win, 6-2, 6-3. We're down at the end, a couple of young Cardinals competing hard. Freshman Griffin Spa and sophomore Tito Tumby fought to the finish, but they lost at third doubles by a score of 4-6, 3-6.
Yeah, another 2-5 loss, but hey, I was right. Should have second-guessed myself.
Yeah, I should have told you because I read it 3-4 times.
Well, I wrote it.
You wrote it.
But, I see a lot of names every week. 3 matches for the Cardinals on Saturday. They were in Alexandria for an invitational. You can see the individual scores on the right. The more important scores, the team scores on the left. Cardinals lost to the host Cardinals 6-1 to start the day, but bounced back with a win over East Grand Forks by that same 6-1 score. And they did not hold up the end of the bargain when it comes to playing Minneapolis-Washburn. It's always supposed to be a Coon Rapids victory. Unfortunately, Cooper Held was the only one to hold his spot. 6-4, 6-0 was his win. Peyton Yang bounced back into third singles where he lost a tight one, 3-6, 4-6. And Oliver Leet kept it competitive at fourth, 2-6, 3-6. Hirsumaki was teamed up with Nick Ryland at first doubles, and they lost 1-6, 1-6.
Tough. I mean, they have so many matches, so I mean, it's just tough to.
Well, they've
a heavy week.
It's the same. It's the same this week. I think they're supposed to have 4 or 5 matches. They're at Delano. We're supposed to be at Delano today with Waconia, so that was supposed to be a tri-meet. They're at Centennial on Tuesday, at Armstrong on Thursday, and then they host another tournament on Saturday, which they'll probably see 3 more there. So they were expecting to see like 6 or 7 matches in the next 6 days.
Weather permitting.
They lose a couple. I'm sure they will still get in a lot of tennis between now and the next time we sit here on this desk. Volleyball team only had 1 match last week, and they swept up on the Maple Grove Crimson, 25, 24, 20, and 21. Griffin Garbo continues to dominate opponents, 25 kills, 7 digs, and 3 aces. Ryan Mo-Ullman was able to get 3 kills, and Josh Hyatt had 2. As Griffin allows some of the other guys to do some attacking every once in a while. Lucas Yang had 27 assists, and Julian Bang led the team in digs with 9. But impressive to me was that 20 serve receives, 0 receiving errors.
That's great. Love that.
That's impressive.
Love to see him over 500.
Yeah, and it all starts with the serve receive. If you can't receive cleanly, get off a good pass so that your setter can get it to one of your hitters. It ends up trailing and giving up big runs. They have not been doing that. Big part of it, strong serve receive. They are hosting Andover on Monday. I guess that was postponed as well.
Yep.
Because everything postponed due to the incoming weather. So they will host Centennial on Wednesday. Not sure on the makeup times. Boys golf team had a couple of Northwest Suburban Conference tournaments last week. On Monday, they were at Baker National, and they finished in 13th place with a team score of 356. Dylan Bushy had the best round with an 81. Andrew Clark finished with an 87. Jackson Barsness and Zach Bushy each put up a 94, with Carlson a 95 and Getz in with a 107. On Thursday, they played at Rush Creek. A little bit better team score, but the position stays the same, creeping up on the rest of the pack in the Northwest Suburban. They finished 13th. Dylan Bushy, a straight 80, 40 on each side. Noah Law, just a couple of strokes behind him, along with Oscar Berg, who were both not able to make Monday's round. Andrew Clark finished with an 88, so did Zach Bushy, and Jackson Barsness had an 89. Boys golf team was supposed to be in Stillwater for an invitational today. I think that was supposed to happen earlier. I don't know if they got started or if anything, but chances are that one. And the sad thing about losing those tournaments is those most likely won't get made up.
Well, and I got a text relatively early from I don't know when I sent you guys that text.
Jeff,
relatively early from Jeff, Jeff Thompson. So.
Yeah, so into every life a little rain must fall, and sometimes a lot.
Yes, like this morning.
Precipitating some postponements. The Bengals Invitational over at Majestic Majestic Oaks is the next event for the boys team. Girls team, off to a great start in head-to-head matchups. They got a couple more conference wins last week. First over Champlin Park on Monday, just by a couple of strokes. You want to talk about every stroke counting, at 211 to 213. Kaylin Price, the freshman, led the way with a 48. Lily McKenzie had a 51. Avery Anderson a 52. Semensky a 54. Hogarth a 55. And Alta Peter finished with a 61. I'm looking at those are the scores for me. Dang it. Just read the screen in front of you. So let's just go ahead. There, you can see the scores. I'm not going to go over the. There you go. Kaylin Price with a 48. And now I'm wondering, is Kaylin Price the freshman, or is Avery Anderson the freshman? I think Anderson might be the freshman. Led the team at Champlin Park. Price led the team, I believe, as a junior. I'm probably getting everything wrong, but I second-guessed myself earlier. Turned out I was right.
Trust your gut.
But they won. They beat Andover by 15 strokes. They improved to 3-0 on this early season. And then on Saturday, Was that Saturday? No, that was Thursday. That they had the mid-season tournament. They shortened it to a 9-hole tournament because there was weather that came in. So they, instead of playing 18, they only played 9. Cardinals finished in 10th place. They were a couple of strokes behind Andover, actually, who they had just beaten by 15 strokes. Just 2 strokes out of 8th place, which is where Andover was. So they are in the mix in that middle group, and that's fun to see, especially early on. Lily McKenzie had the best round with a 49. Anderson right behind her with a 50. Semensky at 52. Davis a 59. Price a 65. And Hogarth a 66. They will play host to Maple Grove on Tuesday and be at Centennial next Tuesday. So just the one event for them this week after a busy week last week. Track and field was off last week. They will have the Bengal invite on Tuesday, the Cardinal invite on Friday. Boys lacrosse team, as we talked about, they play Monday, Wednesdays usually.
They do.
So last week they were able to play on Monday. This week, not so much. Last week they got a big win on Monday, hosting Kennedy Burnsville. They beat them up 12-3.
Nice.
Brody Herzog with 6 goals. Toby Tranby had a pair. Person, Labansky, Conkler, and Brown, each with a single tally to get the SLPCR squad back to 2-2. Well, the boys were hoping they could build on that win, but they faced a much tougher task on Wednesday. Centennial Cougars were 2-0 to start the year, and they'd beaten up 2 conference rivals in tight 1-goal games. If SLPCR wanted their first conference win of the year, they'd need to have their A game from the opening draw. Cougars set the tempo early in the first quarter. Isaac Adams cutting across the top of the box, scores from a ways out, and that opened the floodgates for the home team. SLPCR down 4-0. Before they get on the board, zone entry is disrupted. They sweep it to Brody Herzog in the hole. He scoops, spins, and scores. They're playing from behind all night long. Second quarter, Jack Person coming from behind the net feeds Toby Tranby, who unleashes a rocket. And that's one of his 3 in the game, but it was 11-3 Cougars at the half. They continue to pour it on in the third. Gavin Craig coming from behind the net, able to find room out front, scores up high. That pushed the Centennial lead to 10. They're pretty much on cruise control from there. Good possession in the fourth. Rocco Scarella able to spin off the defender and whip it past Scramstead from way up high. Cougars roll to a 19-6 victory.
Yeah, this is a tough conference, as we all know, and it's you get that 12-goal win. 12. They scored 12 goals to get the win, but coming back here against Centennial, they knew they were going to have a tough time, and Cougars are a good team.
Well, and they purposely did that. We talked about it when we met with them before the season, is that their non-conference schedule, some teams that they felt they could be a little more competitive with, help work on some things and hopefully get some victories and build some confidence. That included Saturday's trip up to Duluth. The coach at Duluth, actually a former player of SLPCR head coach Chris Tott, so fun to get that on the schedule. And it looked like it was a fun game, 11-10. SLPCR comes up on the losing end. Unfortunately, Caden Conkler led the way with 5 goals. Toby Tranby with another hat trick. Person had 2 goals and an assist. Scramstead made 15 saves in the loss, falling to 2-4. They were scheduled to be at Blaine today, Monday. That has been postponed. Makeup to be determined.
Yes, correct.
They will host Hopkins St. Louis Park on Saturday. No game on Wednesday this week. Girls lacrosse team started against Osseo Park Center, and they lost a heartbreaker, 13-12.
There it is.
There we go. We got ahead of ourselves just a bit. So they lost 13-12. Grace Schmidt had 4 goals and an assist. Katie Wiggin had 4 goals. A tight one, but they fall to 1-2. Then they played Blaine. They lost 10-4. Schmidt had 3 of the 4 goals. Wiggin had the 4th. And then on Saturday, they beat Apple Valley by a 12-7 score, improving their season record to 2-3. And similar scenario, especially given this is, obviously this was Spring Lake Park's schedule up until about January, February, when it became Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids. They just kind of tossed Coon Rapids' schedule out, which is most inconvenient for some of those teams on that are scrambling to get last-minute schedules. But it's a schedule that's built with some teams that outside of the conference are going to be a little bit slower paced, perhaps a little bit, I don't want to say weaker, but a little bit lesser competition than what they see night in and night out in the Northwest Suburban.
When you're building a program like similar to the boys, you want to get some of those teams on the schedule that give you an opportunity to win, to build some confidence. So when you face those tougher teams in the conference, at least you know you're able to get in the win column. You may not get as many wins as you'd like, but you're able to win a few games or a few matches.
Well, they've got some tough ones this week as well. They are at Andover on Wednesday. They will host Hopkins on Saturday. And everything, of course, in the spring is weather permitting.
No question.
We will be at Andover Station on Tuesday.
We'll be there.
Weather permitting. And we will be at Aspen Park on Friday evening for the softball teams against Fridley.
We'll be there.
And weather permitting.
Weather permitting.
And next week we have the baseball team against Buffalo on Monday. We'll have Sportsnight on Tuesday.
We'll be there too.
That's going to do it for this edition of Sportsnight. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. To the entire crew, including Tom Cornell behind the lens and Howie Shapiro. To my right, I'm Joe Young. Say goodnight.